All right, thanks everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Good Life Small Business Podcast. And today I have the honor of being joined by Tyler Schake, who is the owner of T&T Mobile Washing here in Kearney. And welcome Tyler. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So let's get started with some icebreakers here so that we can get to know you a little bit better. What is a book that you are reading or listening to? Listening counts around here. So what's a book that you're taking in right now?
Well, it's good that listening counts because that is, I'll be honest, I've always had a problem finishing books. I get halfway through and I don't know what it is. I have a lot easier time listening to them on audio versions. And I guess the last book I was reading was called Fix This Next by Michael Kalowitz.
Yep.
And I got about a quarter of the way through, and there's so much you want to implement, and he even says in there, I think he said, like, stop reading and go implement these things and come back in a few weeks. And that's about a month back. I mean, I quit about a month ago because I got, probably halfway through. And I just have tried to implement so many of those things that I haven't gone back to it. So but I'm in the middle of it, I guess. So.
Yeah, that is a good book. So I'm kind of the same way. I try to listen the whole way through, and I would get to where I was doing something where I couldn't write it down or couldn't get back to a computer to look things up. I finally did go and he's got the analysis of like what you need to fix first. Mm-hmm. So I went and did that, but kind of get that figured out. But yeah, that's a good book.
It's really a good one.
Book. He is also the author of Profit First, which is a good book as well. So, so how about podcasts? Are you listening to any, whether it's business podcasts or one that's maybe related a little bit more to your industry?
Yes, probably too many podcasts, honestly. I like to listen to them while I'm working sometimes, and you got to shut them off and just do your thing. And here I am saying this on a podcast,
right.
You know. But no, I just believe you can take in too much information sometimes, and it kind of whatever paralysis by an overanalysis. You can just kind of really start to think about too many things you need to implement. But yes, I mean I have about 4 or 5 I listen to. Quick Talk podcast by a guy named Josh Latimer. He had built like a 6-figure window cleaning business. I've been 7-figure window cleaning business. I mean, just a pretty big window cleaning business. Home Service Millionaire by a guy named Tommy Mello. He's like the biggest garage door company in North America. And then there's a couple new ones I've really been getting into by Andy Frisella, Real AF. I'll leave that up to you to decide what that means.
All right.
And his other one, MF CEO. So those are some pretty good ones. There's a lot of good motivation in there. So
awesome. I haven't heard of any of those, and so that's part of the reason that I asked this question is I'm like you. I have a ton of podcasts on my list, but I probably don't listen to a third of them, but it's always good to get some new ones in there. So I always like hearing about new podcasts that are out there that we can listen to.
Yes, and I wasn't saying obviously don't listen to podcasts. Right. I just say you can listen to you can take in too much information. Right. That's one thing I believe these days. Yeah. There's so much out there that you got to just sometimes just execute.
Right.
So
you got to kind of be in the mood to absorb the information you're getting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, cool. Well, I guess let's just start wherever you want to as far as kind of how you got started with this adventure with T&T Mobile Washing, kind of what led you up to it, or just kind of tell us your journey about being a small business owner.
Well, I guess growing up, I worked, mostly on the farm for my brother, and just seeing how he was his own boss. I guess just growing up, that's just the type of people I was around. A lot of farmers who did, their own thing. A lot of people in the ag industry that did their own thing. And I guess I just grew up thinking that's how it was. Like, you just grew up and did your own thing.
Yeah.
And then I got to my mid-20s, and I realized that's not how it was. And I always knew that I did want to do my own thing, be an entrepreneur. And it took me, once I always knew I wanted to do it, but once I got serious about it, I mean, it was within a year. I'm just like, I got to go do this. And so yeah, we only live once, and that was kind of my philosophy, and just go give it all you got. So
yeah, awesome. So why mobile washing? Like, what drew you to this industry, or what? I guess, how did you get involved with this type? Because it's not something that you hear a lot about. I did before I met you. I didn't really know much about it. So how did you get drawn into this?
On the farm, there was a lot of equipment, a lot of trucks and whatnot, and that was kind of my job. I cleaned up everything on the farm, and I just remember sitting there in a tractor going across the field one afternoon. I'm like, after I had just, washed up a tractor, and I'm like, I think there might be like people that would want this, they don't have time to do it themselves. And, I kind of ran it by some people, and some people really, oh yeah, I think that'd be really good, and then some people, oh, I don't know if that'd be, a demand for it. But ultimately, I saw the vision. It didn't really matter. I thought I needed everybody else's, validation back then that this would work or something. But I saw the vision, and I still see the vision. And so I just started, I guess.
That's awesome.
But
yeah, sometimes I think that we can listen to other people, and getting approval is a big deal. But when you still think that it can work, there's even 1,000 no's. You still want to give it a shot if you think it can work. So that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So what's your favorite part about being a small business owner?
I would just say the freedom of being able to build what you want. I feel like sometimes when you're, in a company or something, you can just be kind of limited and, be told, no, you can't do that. And I like the freedom to build the vision I seek. Because if I had to run my vision by other people, they would have told me no on this a long time ago. You know what I mean? So, I would have, I would just say, being able to freely build and create your vision and what you see, and also the challenges. I think I'd be bored in regular job. I don't know. I sometimes these days you look at the challenges and they seem, they're really hard, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. But then you step back and you're like, well, what else would I rather be doing? I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what else I'd rather be doing.
Yeah.
And then I would just say the personal growth that comes with the accomplishments in business. I just feel like I'm a lot more confident person than I used to be. I just know I can do a lot more than I used to give myself credit for.
Right.
Now. And so there's a lot of personal growth that comes with it, and just talking to people, developing relationships. So there's a few things that I really like about it.
That's awesome. So I guess one of the things that I've learned about being a small business owner, and you seem like you're the same way, because it seems like you are always thinking, whether it's about what you can do in your business, how you can get better, marketing, whatever it is. You just kind of seem like, and I've known you for 3 years now, 3-4 years. It just seems like you are always thinking about how you can get better. And that's one of the things about being a small business owner is, if you got an 8-to-5 job, you go home and you can turn your brain off. But when you're a small business owner, sometimes I think that, like, even when you go home, when you're laying in bed, you're still thinking about your business. When you wake up, you're thinking about your business. It seems like you're like that too.
Yes, and it's, I don't know what you call it, like a blessing and a curse, I guess. I have a lot of workouts interrupted by, an idea. I get into podcasts. I'm just like, I got to go implement this right now. And, it's all I can think about. And and some advice I had heard on, I think it was Jim Rohn who talked about it. He said, don't be at the office and at the beach. He's like, be either at the office or at the beach, and I like to mix the two. And he says, don't mix the two. And it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, I'd say. So, but I'm always trying to improve on myself and my business, and it's constantly on my mind. So
it's part of the deal.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what small business it is. It follows you home, but it's a good thing. That just means you're passionate about it, I think.
Yes, I agree.
So, is this what you thought it would be?
For the most part, just being around my brother and other successful people growing up. I saw the challenges, and I was part of the challenges at the time, working for him. And but there's I'd say the little things that go into building a business are what are surprising, and the things that people don't see. I mean, just things such as ordering soap and mixing the soap. If Saturday gets here, our busiest day, and there's no soap mixed in the barrels, like, it's not a good thing. Yeah. It's things such as, putting, new paperwork in the trays so we can write down truck numbers. It's ordering T-shirts. It's who's buying the toilet paper. You know what I mean? It's like the little things that really take you by surprise, that have to happen to make a business go round. So I guess that was probably the biggest surprise to me, just the little things. So.
Yeah. And so you operate probably the most out of a 7-day period, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and evenings. You're working weekends is primarily when you're out, right?
Yes. Friday through Sundays is our busiest time. That's when, we're a mobile truck wash company, and that's when semis sit. Friday through Sunday is our busy time, and Mondays are generally try to be our off day. It's kind of a busy time of year right now, so I'm kind of working Mondays too. But then, a lot of week nights, because trucks sit, after 4 or 5 o'clock at night. And there's those certain jobs that we're starting to pick up that we can do, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So it's just taking time to build that schedule.
Yeah.
But.
And the reason I ask that is because, when most people are thinking about the weekend, you're just kind of going to work. People are focused on Friday at 5. That's when you're really getting busy, is Friday through Sunday. So
yes, it can be. I've realized it recently when just hiring employees this last year. I have some part-time guys, and they come in on weekends, and to them it's the weekend. They already work their job during the week. Right. To me, Saturday morning is Monday morning, and I'm ready to go. And so 5 minutes late to me on a Saturday morning is just, to most people, it's kind of accepted. To me, it's it's Monday, so it's kind of backwards, but
awesome. All right, so we all know it's been a crazy year. COVID has affected a lot of small business owners. Pretty much every small business owner, but in different ways. With your business, is there anything, maybe it didn't affect necessarily you for busyness, and I don't know, you tell us, but how has COVID affected your business in a positive way? What have you taken out of these last 6-7 months and implemented into your business that has been positive, something that you're going to carry forward?
It really didn't, I guess, slow us down much. It was kind of business as usual. Pickups might have got cleaned out a little bit more. There was hand sanitizer and, everywhere you looked and every pickup and whatnot. So that was a positive, I guess, just to be a little more, we could all be a little more clean, I guess, wash our hands a little more. Yeah. But on the sales side, it couldn't obviously go into places, and that's a big part for what, our sales process is just going in and talking to people. Sure. So, but as far, as a positive thing we took from it is, I guess we just did pick up. I remember hearing on a podcast at the beginning of this whole pandemic that a guy said that 10% of your customer base is looking to go elsewhere or stop using your services, and they're going to use this as the excuse to stop using you. Right. But that also means that 10% of your competition's customer base is looking to go elsewhere or maybe use you. Right. And, I guess me compared to some of the truck washes within an hour of where I live, I'm a small guy, and I guess they probably just had a lot more customers looking elsewhere. And I picked up some, I will say I picked up some of their customers. And it just was it's just kind of a natural thing. And I lost, 10% of mine, and they probably lost 10% of theirs, and just all went around. And so but we grew because of it. So
that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself if you were able to go back from when you were starting T&T from the beginning? what advice would you give yourself? Or is there anything you would change, anything you do different looking back on it?
Yeah, I would say don't do everything yourself. I built my own website, my first website, or no, my second website. And, just things such as that. I'm not a website designer. It took way longer than it should. I probably could have been, doing something else better with my time. Don't do everything yourself. And I guess a better way to put it that I heard recently is when you have a problem in your business, don't ask how you can fix it. Ask who. Who can fix this? Who can give me the information to fix this?
Yep.
Who can... we can spend a lot of time sitting there scratching our head going, how am I going to fix this? And it takes 6 months to fix this, whatever problem it is.
Yep.
When if you just sought out professional help and maybe spent a few bucks, you would have took 2 weeks or whatever,
Right.
So seek out help and just ask who, not how. So.
Yeah, and that's legitimate because as a small business owner, obviously, your first priority is to earn income. And until you start earning that income, you have to figure out how you're going to cut costs and maybe what you're going to do on your own to, try to save on expenses. But I think that as you get into it, I guess what I've realized is as you get into it, what you can do with your time is a lot more valuable. But when you're starting out and there's no money coming in yet, you're trying to figure out how you can do all this stuff and still make things go. So it's a delicate balance, but I would agree 100% with you. There's some things that I would do different, and there's some people that I would reach out to and try to get help to give me more time to do other stuff. So that's awesome advice. So, all right. So last question. If someone came up to you and they said, "Hey, Tyler, I'm thinking about starting a small business, whether it's what you do or any small business," what advice would you give them?
Whatever it is, whatever you want to do, make sure you love it. Because I have had people, just recently contact me from other areas and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting up a mobile wash business like you have. Could I come see what you do and get tips and tricks and don'ts and do's and whatnot?" And I'd say, I say yes, that's fine. But before I do that, I say, make sure you're going to love this. I don't know if, I say go power wash something for every day for a week before if you don't love it, it's just not going to be worth it to you. I just happen to find what I love doing. Like, I love doing mobile power wash. I love washing trucks. I love high pressure, ball valves, engines, oil on my hands. I love it. If you don't love that, if you're just if it looks fun or if it looks like, whatever it looks like, at the end of the day, it's like swinging a hammer. It's like, I'd say roofing's harder,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's like swinging a hammer. It's like scooping stalls. It's just like anything else. It's a job and it's work. It's physical. You're sore at the end of the day. So whatever it is, whatever you want to do, make sure you love it.
Yeah.
Or else it's just not going to be what you want. And also to reinvest. I guess in only my 4 short years in business, I've seen some people start out in business and, they might make a little money and I think they go, "Oh, I'm going to go buy 3 jet skis," or I'm going to,
Right, yeah.
lift my pickup or whatever. And I don't recommend that. I personally like reinvesting my money. And, I don't tell anybody what to do with their money. Buy whatever you want. But
Right.
If you're going to be a business owner, you got to, reinvest. And like I said, spend your money on whatever you want. But then when it comes time for your business to grow, you can't wonder why you can't grow it because you sucked all the life out of it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just my couple bits, I guess, that I would recommend.
Man, anybody who's listening to this, those 2 things are priceless because there's too much stress and time away from your family and worry and thought and everything that goes into starting a small business. If you don't love it, you will get burned out too fast, and you will hate it. And so that's huge. You have to love what you do, because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much that people don't see that make it harder than you think it's going to be. So absolutely, you have to love it. And I don't know, reinvesting in so this has come up a couple different times, but do you know how long it was before you actually started bringing home money from the business? And that's, you can share as much as you want there, but I think what people have told me is, I didn't realize, I went a full year before I brought home any money, because I was reinvesting in the business. And I think that's the reason I asked that, is because I don't think people understand you need to have 2 or 3 years saved up, or at least 1 or 2 years of income saved up, because you need to reinvest back in the business. Not forever. Maybe it's 2 or 3 years that you're reinvesting in the business, then you can start bringing some money home. But if you're going to grow and get better, you have to.
Yeah, I would say, what was it? I would say it was about that, a year mark before we started taking any. Well, I would say right out of the gate, I paid the house payment. We were, like that was what I had to replace. I mean, a couple things. I had to be able to cover a couple things, and the house payment was one of them. So that was one right out of the gate. I just knew I had to cover, and but we, it was probably a year before we started taking, really doing anything fun, doing anything like that,
right.
And I guess I will just be honest and say I've always been very frugal and saved. And I guess when I started out, I was just, I don't know if you call it lucky, but just lucky enough to start out with a little money in the bank to be able to purchase some stuff. Because it's definitely, for what I do, it's definitely not cheap. I think a lot of people look at it and think it's cheap. You can go cheap, or, you can have a pretty good initial investment. But I guess I just had a little bit of money saved up and was able to not be so stressed, I guess, in the beginning. And that helps. I mean, if you have some money saved up going into business, that can it can help not stress out so bad. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, this has been a blast. It's been good to talk to you.
Definitely.
Is there anything that you want to let everyone know more about T&T Mobile? Any promotions you got going on, or I guess just anyone that may be interested in you or your company, how they can find you as well?
Yeah, not really promotions or anything. We're just we're a growing company. We're always looking to take on more fleets. We're a mobile power washing company, but we really our niche and where we're heading is fleet washing. We do lots of trucks every month, and we're always looking to take on more fleets. And we're actually looking to hire. So, anybody out there that wants to join a growing business, we're throwing an application, and we might be talking to you. So.
Awesome, sounds good. And people can find you. What's your website?
It is ttmobilewash.com.
Okay, and we'll have a link to that. And then you're also on social media: Facebook, Instagram.
Yep, Google. We're on all those platforms.
Awesome.
So
Look him up. He's got awesome before and after pictures. If you want to see his work, you can see it there. So awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, thank you, Brian. And if anybody needs a good insurance guy, Brian is your guy. Yeah, he's my guy, and he's great. So
I did not pay him to say that.
No, he didn't. You're a good guy. So
awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Brian.